Okay, this is number 4 if you're counting, I believe. The contraption you see before you here, this box framework, is called a go deck. And these bowed bars that you see in here are just straight bars bowed to create a downward pressure on the bottom of the piece. This form that you see in here, this brown form that you see, is the back of the guitar. And in order to make sure that it's absolutely flat, before we glue in the braces, we have to build a contraption like this called a go deck. This is not my idea. This has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. This is just my version of it. Now I'm going to bring you closer in when I take some of this apart so that you can see what we've accomplished in the process. And this is exactly the same procedure that we'll use when we have to glue the braces to the inside of the soundboard, which is actually the front of the guitar. So I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to reposition you and show you what this is like when we take it apart. Hang on. Okay, so we're back. You've got a little different angle here, and the angle you've got here, you're sort of looking through the jungle here, through the bars, but as you can see here, here's the back. And these horizontal pieces you see on the bottom are the braces that we glued in place. And the bars are holding them down to be absolutely flat. This is glued overnight, this is set overnight, so that I can take this apart now and be assured that this bottom piece is absolutely flat. Now if you look, you'll see that some of the bars are actually holding the back piece itself flat to the deck. Here's several, here's a couple more holding the deck down. Here's a couple more here. And some of them are actually on top of the braces, forcing the braces to be flat when the glue dries. It keeps everything flat and stable, and so that when we take this out, hopefully it's going to be nice and flat. And we just do that by just taking the bars out one at a time. We bow them and take them back out, just like this. Take them off the bottom plate here first. Hopefully you don't break any of them. And what we have left are the horizontal braces that give rigidity and impart some virtual flatness to the back, so that when it's glued onto the body of the guitar, it's a uniform and flat. So there we have it. All of these are firmly held in place now. You can see they're quite flat and everything looks pretty good. I'm going to pause you again for a second and I'll go over a couple other things that we did on this, and then we'll move over to something else. So I'm going to pause you for a minute. Okay, we got a little bit of perspective here. Here's the finished product. As you can see, the lateral bracing is now firmly in place, and I'm going to give you a look and see it's pretty flat. We've got a good flat surface here. If I lay this on the table saw, I can tell you that it's really flat. Now, a couple of interesting things I want to show you from the patching that we've done. You recall the small patch that we had to produce, that 40,000th of an inch patch that we had to fill in here. This is after it was all finished off and sanded. This was a video or two ago. But you can see the very edge of it. I don't know if you can focus on that, but you can see now it's quite flat. And this would be inside the joint, inside, so that none of that will show on the finished product. So that turned out pretty good. There's something else I want to show you. We talked about sweat stains the other day and how difficult they were to get out. Now I have cleaned this with denatured alcohol I've scraped it with a razor scraper and sanded it twice with 220 grit sandpaper. And as you can see, that sweat stain right there, still there. Here's another one, still there. They're very, very difficult to get out. I did get one out that was over here, but I sanded quite deep to get that out. So I've decided to leave them as sort of a battle scar, so we can tell the story in the future. That's the story of the sweat stains. And the finish, this will be stained and finished, but I'm sure that these will still come through. So we're just going to let that character be what it is, and we're going to move on. I'm going to stop now again and show you some of the work that we did in plugging the holes under the bridge. Okay, remember this guy? Remember we said that we had to drill a second row of holes to try to fill the elongated holes that were left by the damage done by the strings. I'm going to pause this again for a second. I'm going to clean this off a little bit and let you see what it looks like from the finished side. And if you look inside, you see the pegs protruding through. We're going to cut these off, and then we'll sand this smooth. I'll show you that process of cutting them off right now. We have what's called a finished saw. There's no set on this side. It's a very thin curved saw, and we're just going to saw these off very carefully. This is a special saw so that when we saw it doesn't do any damage to the surrounding surface. It just saws flush. I'll do the rest of this off screen, and we're going to sand this smooth. And I think we may put one more plug in here because we've got still got a little bit of damage. So I'm going to put you on hold for just a second. Okay, so I've finished sawing those pegs off, and you can now very easily see the figure 8 pattern that I was referring to by doing the double row of drilled holes and pegs. Now I've still got to finish the other side, and if you can see, we still have a little bit of a hole left there. Now I may just try to plug that with a little glue because I think it's going to be underneath of the bridge and it's not going to cause any real structural damage. We've got to trim off these. These are still proud of the surface, so we got to trim these off with a chisel. And when we do that, we'll sand this smooth and we'll have another look at that. So we're just going to take a chisel and as carefully as we can, we're going to try to work these down to the surface without damaging the surrounding surface. The process is tedious, but it doesn't take very long with a good sharp chisel, so we're trying to be careful and quick here. I'm going to lightly sand this. I don't know if you can hear me. sense of what it's gonna finish out like. Now remember that the new bridge is gonna cover all that up. It's gonna look something like that. So it won't be visible. So I think what I'm gonna do in the case of this little hole, I don't think I'm gonna re-drill that. I may plug it with a sliver of wood, but I don't think I'm gonna re-drill that. I think we have some structural integrity here now. So I think that, and we have plenty of room for the new hole to be drilled through the old plug holes and not distort this. And with the backing plate that we're gonna put in, remember there'll be a backing plate inside and the hardwood bridge, that I think we're probably going to eliminate that problem from never happening again, at least for another 125 or 30 years. So that's the story of the bridge. Okay, the next step, of course, is we're going to have to glue. We're going to set this all back up in the go deck and glue the interior bracing to the soundboard side. And don't forget, we're going to cover our patchwork with the bridge backing plate, and that goes to go right in here and cover all of the damage up, and give this a tremendous stiffening and also a hardwood surface for those strings to bear against. Remember? And we'll put one more brace in here, something like this. So when we get this all set up in the go deck, I'll probably show you the gluing process or the result of it, and we'll go from there.